Hello and welcome to The Goggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. This is our weekly edition of Thumbs Up or Thumbs Down. And of course, I'm joined by George. So take your pick, my friend, thumbs up or thumbs down.
Well, it's really been a downer this week. So I have lots and lots of thumbs down. I do have one thumbs up, and that is Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida, who is calling for a pardon for Edward Snowden. I think that's very healthy. I don't know any other figure in Congress or in the Senate who is calling for a pardon for Snowden. Certainly, no one is calling for a pardon for Julian Assange. And Matt Gaetz has so far not said anything about Assange, but this could be a good early sign, and with luck, he'll come around and be urging a pardon for Julian Assange. Gaetz, I think, is a rising star within the Republican Party. He's consistently anti-interventionist, and he may be a good presidential prospect. He has the kind of photogenic good looks. Certainly somebody to keep an eye on.
It's also very interesting is that being such a top political figure, he is, I was going to say widening, he has opened an Overton window to actually be able to say, you have permission now to say we should consider some kind of amnesty, clemency, pardon for Snowden and for Julian Assange. So my hat, I give him a hat tip on that. What would be really good if this Overton window is going to be widened, is that every other people will be able to say this, because there's a lot of people that actually feel that way, okay? Particularly, I think it was over the last couple of days where the Trump administration, Attorney General Barr is moving with antitrust against Google, which is really good news. It's the first major case in 20 years. And the more I look at it, there's a lot of ins and outs. There's kind of like antitrust light, okay, where it's a slap on the wrist. There's just too many people that have their pockets lined by Google and Facebook and others here. So that is an interesting first step. I'm going to be very ironic, okay? My thumbs up is the Western propaganda program against Russia when it comes to Navalny, because it was pretty successful, you got to admit.
Yep, absolutely.
And they know how to do it. And the timing there, anyone that has their eyes open and watching this is the Nord Stream is the gas pipeline from Russia to Germany under the Baltic Sea. It's almost at the very, very end of completion. This is something that has just been an issue for the U.S. Mike Pompeo loses sleep over it at night. But in the campaign to defame Russia, and we've talked about this many times, and I suggest our viewers take a look at the last two ones we did. The title, it has Navalny in it, so take a look at it so we don't have to repeat ourselves here. But I don't think it's really going to go anywhere. It's one of the things that, there have been so many sanctions now, it's like bouncing the rubble, okay? So, but I mean, it was a public relations score, and those are very...
Without question. And it was striking that the way they used Novichok, had they said, oh yeah, we've discovered a poison inside Navalny, which is a derivative of cyanide, or it's derivative of arsenic, that wouldn't have been as effective. I mean, it was a brilliant coup to say Novichok, because it's now already embedded in the public's mind. Oh yeah, Novichok, well, it sounds Russian. And we heard all about it during the Skripal's thing. And it's like this deadly nerve agent. So it's a chemical weapons, therefore it's a weapons of mass destruction. Russians are using weapons of mass destruction here. So it's a public relations bonanza for the West.
Yeah, but it's interesting is that it didn't kill the Skripals, and it apparently didn't kill Navalny. So I mean, yes. Wow, yes. It's a really diabolical light agent, I suppose.
And notice how none of the doctors who were treating him, none of them was wearing any protective gear. No one who dealt with Navalny, who flew next to him in the plane, who accompanied him to the hospital, not one of them is suffering any ill effects. It's amazing, this weapon of mass destruction that doesn't seem to destroy anybody.
That's right. And of course, none of those oddities are reported at all by the mainstream media. Okay, of course here at the Gaggle going to be watching what the next steps are. Is Navalny going to return to Russia? As far as I know, he hasn't broken any law. His passport is still valid, so he should have the legal right to return to his home country. We'll see what happens, or maybe he is valuable to others residing in Germany. We will see. A thumbs down for me this week. As everyone knows, YouTube gives you suggestions all the time, and I am a documentary film fanatic. I mean, just about anything good on YouTube when it comes to documentaries I have watched or watched over again. And Frontline, PBS's Frontline keeps being thrown at me. So I thought, oh, all right, because they're grossly biased, grossly left wing. They say that they only stick to facts, but it's horrific propaganda. It's actually well done. The production value was very high. And I was just watching it here. The United States of Conspiracy, full film, Frontline, and it's about Alex Jones. Okay, fair game. Okay. Never been a fan of Alex Jones at all. Okay, I am an advocate of free speech. Some of his really wild conspiracy theories are very depressing, and it does not do the public sphere any add any value to the public sphere. However, either you're for free speech or you're not. Okay, but watching the first part of it, George, the thing that kept going through my mind is, why don't they do all conspiracy theories? Okay, Sandy Hook was a conspiracy theory peddled by Alex Jones. But what about Russiagate that PBS pushes, MSNBC, CNN, The Washington Post, New York Times, Wall Street Journal? We could go on and on and on. But they are never called to account. I mean, the Mueller report is enough for me to say, well, we should all go to YouTube and say, delete all of those videos, all the videos of the conspiracy theory that they were peddling.
This is a conspiracy theory that arrives with zero evidence. Every aspect of Russiagate, all of the ins and outs of this, none of them has stood up under scrutiny. And the more that the evidence is challenged, the more embedded this Russia conspiracy is. So the other day there was an article in the New York Times that bemoaned the Mueller investigation. Oh, well, of course, Mueller investigation was far too narrow in scope. He should have investigated all of Donald Trump's deep financial ties toward Russia. What are these deep financial ties? Well, it's not specified, but that's why we needed to investigate. We got to find out about these deep ties. Well, or if there are any deep ties, or maybe there are. Well, but we need to investigate.
We have to investigate, make sure that there aren't any.
Yes, that's it. So it's like, so it just continues. It's a conspiracy that can never be refuted by evidence, and that's a classic. Well, that is the definition of a conspiracy theory. There is nothing, no event, no fact that can possibly falsify it. This is a classic case of Karl Popper's falsifiability theory. Like, there's just nothing. You cannot conceive of any piece of evidence that would ever falsify this idea that Trump and Russia are colluding.
Yeah, but the interesting thing to me in watching the strange life of this conspiracy theory is that I am convinced, because as we're getting closer and closer to the election, it's no wonder that it's being invoked again and again and again, because it's created this kind of cohesiveness and has captured the progressive. It's one way the progressives are captured within the Democratic Party, because they peddle it too out of fear of having their loyalty questioned. And if you question it, then you like Trump. You're a secret Trump supporter. It's a very interesting discursive project. And that's why they have to keep peddling it, because if you really think about it, I mean, during a pandemic, there's no real serious talk about healthcare. Wow, that is so weird. The economy, we have this K recovery, okay? The rich got richer, the poor got poorer. But that's not a big issue. Don't talk about it. Let's look at Trump's tax returns from 1988.
Right, right.
You see how you see what it is that it just takes the oxygen out of the air. Okay, so they could peddle the left pedals their everything is racism and Donald Trump is a traitor. That's they keep going back and forth, back and forth.
Yes, that's right. That's it. Yeah. So yeah, my thumbs down is this deal that was signed with a lot of fanfare and excitement by the Trump people between Serbia, Kosovo, the United States, and Israel. The deal involves Serbia moving its embassy to Jerusalem, Serbia's normalizing economic relations with Kosovo, and Israel recognizing Kosovo, Kosovo recognizing Israel. Now, to me, this seems to me there's nothing in it, first of all, for the United States. The Serbia-Kosovo issue has never been Trump's issue, so it's not clear why Trump even got involved in this. Serbia has, first of all, betrayed its long-standing principle going back to the Tito time and then to the Milosevic time of being supportive of Palestinian rights. That's just been betrayed by moving the embassy. And by normalizing economic relations, surely is now just simply, just one step ahead is full diplomatic recognition of Kosovo. In this way, Serbia has kind of betrayed the countries that had actually supported Serbia all this time, because half the world has refused to recognize independent Kosovo. So in other words, half the world has actually accepted Serbia's claim that this is an illegal secession, and certainly Russia has given full diplomatic support for Serbia's position. So Serbia has betrayed all of that. And for Israel, and moreover, for Israel, which has now recognized Kosovo, therefore this, so it basically just even basically Israel's given the finger to Serbia that you move the embassy to Jerusalem, and your reward is that Israel recognizes Kosovo. So this strikes me as being an absolutely terrible.
The interesting thing is that Israel is willing to recognize Kosovo, which half the world doesn't, not even all of the European Union does, but Israel won't recognize a Palestinian state. The ironies.
Exactly, that's right. And incidentally, Kosovo to the Serbs is what Jerusalem is to the Jews. I mean, that's always been the case. I mean, it's the site of all of their monasteries. It's basically essentially their religious shrine. So that's Israel said, yeah, the hell with that. We'll pocket this yet another embassy moving to Jerusalem.
Okay. Well, that was the Gaggles thumbs ups or thumbs down for this week. Our upcoming week, we have a lot of very interesting guests, and of course, there'll be no shortage of topics to talk about. So we'll see you all soon. And remember to like, share, and subscribe.